Good day, my name is Miriam Babaita and my skill of choice is content creation and YouTube blogging. I have here with me
Engineer Akim Bruce Nawapemi. I'm trainer of GASA Model Making and Architecture B, that's Tech 66.
Okay. Thank you for being here, sir.
You're welcome.
First question for you now is what is model making in architecture or interlock and block production?
So model making in architecture is a fast course. So for the purpose of this particular tech course, we'll be focusing on interlock production. So as the name implies, model making in interlock production is actually, something that we see in our day-to-day activity. So basically, what we'll be focusing for the purpose of this course is how the interlocks are being produced and the method of their application.
Okay. Alright, sir. Next question for you here is what are the raw materials and the process to approach a new model making?
Interlock production is just like every other concrete produce, whereby cement, fine aggregates, coarse aggregates, water, and other consumable material are actually required. But for the purpose of this particular interlock production, we will be substituting granite dust and we'll be using that as the fine aggregate, while we'll be using the conventional granite as the coarse aggregate. And when it comes to interlock production, there are several essential factors which are required in interlock production, and these includes proportioning, mixing, compacting, curing, and drying. So what do I mean by proportioning? For every material there are definitely and there is a required proportions at which to mix in order to get a standard interlock product. So after having your adequate proportioning, then you proceed to mixing. So mixing, a lot of people believe mixing is just mixing everything together, but then there are certain procedure to that. So you have to mix adequately, and then in order to get a good end result. So after mixing, you prepare your molds, then you pour inside, you pour your concrete, your working concrete, you pour it inside the molds, then you compact adequately. After compacting, then you left for it to settle, at which that means to cure. So after curing for several days, then you now remove, then cure additionally inside water tank, and then left to dry in the open, which will be then consecutively after you can proceed to your application. And there's something about interlock production. Interlock, it's so easy to produce and it's so easy to lay. It doesn't require too much technicality for you can execute it.
Thank you, sir. Next question I have for you is what are the factors to consider when going for a new project in interlock and block production?
There are several factors to consider when it comes to interlock production. Factors which includes the design, the type of design that you want to produce, and these will go into your mold selection. So after getting your mold, you've actually prepared yourself to get a certain design, like a certain outcome. Then you can proceed to procuring your molds. So then after procuring molds, you can now decide, okay, this the amount of amount of material required to produce a certain amount of interlocks. So through that, then you can now design your mixed proportions, then you can proceed to production. So but then before entering such a business, there's number one is the required capital. It depends on the target customers, your target market. So that will now make you to understand the amount of capital required to start the business. But if you are starting on a smaller scale, I think around, let's say, 500 to 1 million should suffice, which I know for sure that the amount that will take, the chunk of the money is getting molds, and molds are reusable. So at the end of the day, that will definitely bring you a profit, and then in turn you can start expanding. So another material that will definitely you need to put into consideration at the point of starting the business is, cement. And you can see cement is so essential in concrete production. And as it is now, it's one of the most expensive building material out there. So another thing to consider, which I would advise a beginner to consider when it comes to starting such a business, is the location. We live in an urban area, as you can see. Just outside there, you can see several walkways, several road paths where instead of the normal conventional asphalt motorway, we have interlock along, which that's still to showcase the viability of this business in an urban area like this. So setting and citing a good location is additional factor to consider when it comes to interlock business.
So next question, sir. What are the advantages and the importance of this skill?
There are several advantages to interlock production, and the most glaring one is its application. How it doesn't require so much technicality when it comes to laying. Once you have once the interlocks are produced, anybody can literally just arrange it on the floor, and then if there's any need for maybe a maintenance or something, you can easily take it back and just be done with your maintenance and relay it. Another advantage to this interlock is not like conventionally like the traditional blocks where mortar is required to join where mortar is required to join the blocks. Interlock doesn't require all that. So once you have an interlock, it's just for you to start arranging, and then which implies that it saves time and it saves cost. So these are factors.
Thank you, sir. So I would like to ask, what do you think are the mistakes commonly made by beginners, and how can they avoid them?
So I think one of the greatest mistake beginners make when it comes to producing interlock is compromising on material and at the same time compromising on the mix proportion. Some people will believe, okay, I have 1 bag of cement and this should produce, let's say, about 100. I'm just a random scenario where, okay, a bag of cement should produce, let's say, about 100 numbers of interlock. Let's say that's the conventional 8 inches by the mods. So as a beginner, I will advise not to compromise on materials and compromise on the mix ratio. Just you substituting too much aggregate to a lesser fine aggregate just to get it. So getting an adequate mix proportion is so essential, and at the same time not compromising on the material. So essential.
All right, sir. But what do you think are the challenges faced by most people?
So just like every small scale business out there, which at least just like every other business, it can be started as an SME business. I think their major challenge is capital. So there is no how you can start an interlock production without mods. Although you can rent mods, I think there are mods that are off for rentage, just for you to start. So most essentially, capital is so required.
Okay, thank you, sir. How has been the experience for you so far, and what inspired you to go for this skill?
So I'm a civil engineer, and everything that comes to my mind is how to go about easing people's life, how to make them their way of life easy.
The experience has been good. As you can see, I'm a non-teaching staff, but having the opportunity to take students on this practical aspect of their is so good. I really like it. And as much as I do advise my students that no skill, no knowledge is wasted, they should take every knowledge. They should at least try and have passion for what they do. So just like as I earlier stated, you can start interlock production on a smaller scale. Just like, okay, we have, let's say, a small veranda in front of our house. Okay, let's see if I can, just after the class, okay, I've known this skill. Now I want to put it into practice. I can just go, okay, let me rent small mods. From renting, you procure cement, I know, of course, most of my students, they were, available and at the tech to, execute their practical. I know most of them know how to mix. So it's just for you to, and they were practically taught everything they need to know about interlock production. So I'm very convinced that they can even, buy into that business and just strive in there. So just like, it's so easy, just, mix at the proportion at which you were taught, and then you can start production.
Yeah. For the last question, I would like you to advise the trainees or maybe the viewers who are inspired to also start.
So I think we have a vast market for interlock production. Earlier stated that interlock production is a viable business which can be established on a smaller scale, and then there is a big market out there for everybody to strive. So I will implore my trainees to venture out there and have passion for this, as no knowledge is wasted. And I know for sure that with any little amount of money put into this, they can definitely grow in it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. With this, we have come to the end of this interview, and we appreciate you for having us here. Thank you for your time. So, the viewers, my partner behind the camera is Kolawemi Olafende. I am Miriam Babaita. Thanks for kindly drop your comments and share.
Thank you.